Hey everyone, welcome back to HD Reddit Reads. Today's topic is parents with nanny cams. What have you caught your babysitter doing? Let's get into it. This was my equivalent of pre-K. All the kids were regressing in their movement ability and getting really fat, so they set up spy equipment. Turns out one career was doubling every baby's food portions and forcefully overfeeding them. Wish I had a nanny cam. My stepsister was watching my brother with disabilities for me. She would dump out the contents of his capsules meds and use them later. Didn't find out about it until he started having seizures constantly and ended up in the hospital for a second time. I've been a pretty regular weekend nanny for an amazing family for 4 years now. They've cycled through a couple different weekday nannies since I've been with them. There's only one monitor and it's in the little dude's room. Once the mom showed me on the camera why they let one go. Little dude said, "Mommy said I don't have to do that," and the nanny snapped back, "Well, it doesn't matter, Mommy is a bitch," and then dragged the kid out of the room by his shirt, super fired. Well, a case which happened near where I live. Woman used to work, husband out of country, had a 2-year-old kid. They hired a nanny to look after him during the day. Day by day, the kid started looking malnourished, so she set up a spy cam. Apparently, the lady used to bring her kid and feed him all the food left for the kid she was supposed to babysit. Then she would feed the kid cheap biscuits. She was promptly handed over to the police. That happened to my uncle. The babysitter was stealing formula from her own child and giving him watered down formula. My uncle got sicker and sicker. They fired the babysitter, but he eventually died. My story isn't that interesting, but I have a camera to check in on my rabbit when I'm not there. The biggest surprise were mostly just how almost nobody followed my pet sitting instructions. The one exception, ironically, was my brother who claimed to hate rabbits and had always wanted to get rid of it. I got an alert one day that the camera had detected movement while my bro was there taking care of him, and I decided to take a peek. I opened the app, connected to the camera, and saw my bro walk into the room, lay on the floor, and start playing with my rabbit. It just warmed my heart. My family bought one to see our dogs when they leave on vacation twice a year. It's one where they can hear us, and we thought it'd be a great idea. We hardly use it. We also asked our maid to dog sit for us while we were out. Once, when we looked at the feed, we saw the dog sitter there a solid 30 minutes early just petting the dogs and playing with them. She's since retired from working, but she was the sweetest old lady and we loved her. Another time, my dad left a wad of cash on top of the washing machine, around $600, and she put a rubber band around it with a note saying he misplaced it. Not me, but my aunt's friend set up a nanny cam because she noticed that every time she changed her child's diaper, the child would start crying a lot more than usual. Turns out when they watched the nanny change her diaper, she would use Clorox wipes if they were nearby instead of grabbing the baby wipes. Edit, for anyone wondering what happened afterward, they fired the nanny immediately and the father became a stay-at-home dad. A little late to the party, but here goes. My mom suspected our maid of stealing the silverware, and she's just effing nosy. Anyway, the maid was indeed stealing the silverware. I think that ended up being overshadowed by my dad effing her though. I was the kiddo. My mom often tells a story of how she watched me give a big ol' hug to my babysitter, who just broke down out of nowhere after serving me lunch. Turns out her dad had died a month back, and it just wasn't a good day for her. I still remember you, Miss Yancey. I hope you're doing just fine now. We have a security camera in my bedroom for my free roam bunny, so we can keep an eye on her whilst at work, if we go on holiday, etc. Well, my dad is 50 and is a big bloke who acts like he doesn't like pets. Came over to visit one day whilst I was out. He went in my room and crouched down calling the bunny. He spent an hour trying to pet the rabbit and kept repeating in a soft word, "I'm not going to hurt you, I just want to pet you and see how fluffy you are." He just about shit himself when I spoke through the security camera to tell him she's very fluffy. Not a nanny cam because this happened in the 90s, and I don't think we had them in Scotland then. But my mom came home early one day because she had been suspicious of our nanny as my sister and I had never slept after a day with her. She found both my sister and I in bed in the middle of the day. Turned out my nanny had been dosing us up with child medicine to make us sleep all day, so she can sit and do nothing. This happened in my friend's child's daycare center. They were giving them Benadryl or something pill form and the kids were sleeping all day. My friend had chosen a daycare rather than babysitting because she thought it'd be safer. I travel the US for work, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to bring my 2 beagles with me. They had never been away from my side longer than the time I've been at work. They are 10 and 13. I have a camera that I use to check on them sometimes, mostly because my larger beagle is quite the ingenious guy, opening doors, scooting chairs over places so he can jump onto the counters, etc. Last year I was in Oregon and I had to go home to Michigan for an emergency. I do not fly with them, I only drive. So I was in a pickle and reluctantly hired someone off of Rover that was willing to come over and stay at my hotel room for 3 days. She was great, kept up on texting me about the dogs, said things like, tossing them a ball right now. So I would check in via the cam when I thought it was appropriate. This woman was amazing. Not only was she playing with them enough to make them exhausted, she was even teaching them new tricks, making them use their brains to solve puzzles, and even got my 42-pound beagle to get up on her back so she could do push-ups. She was an avid CrossFitter. I was extremely happy. My grandpa was staying with my parents, but they figured it'd be best to hire a regular sitter to watch my younger siblings overnight since they didn't think my grandpa was up to the task and they were attending a wedding a couple hours away and had made plans to spend the night at a hotel nearby. They set up a nanny cam in a couple rooms, my siblings' bedroom, the master bedroom, living room, and kitchen, all motion activated. They normally wouldn't bother looking through the footage if everything seemed fine upon returning home, and their master bedroom cam had never been triggered before. When they returned, they noticed that the cam in the master bedroom had been triggered, so they decided to take a look. Cut to footage of my grandpa and the sitter both naked, aggressively making out from the entrance of the room, staggering while intertwined towards the bed, and then about 20 minutes of banging on my parents' bed. The sitter was about 20 years old, and my grandpa was around 70 at the time. My dad called me immediately after he saw the footage, laughing his ass off, and I could hear my mom crying in the background, completely mortified from what she had just witnessed, and shouting at my dad to throw out the sheets and kick out Grandpa. My mom called the sitter to confront her, and she just apologized and said there was a connection, or some shit to that matter. When she asked my grandpa what he was thinking, he just said, "At my age, you must seize every opportunity." I wish there was an audio for the build-up. I lie awake at night, sometimes just wondering what kind of game my grandpa was talking to get into the sitter's pants. I got a nanny cam to keep an eye on my elderly grandfather, especially when the homemates were there. My grandfather started asking for lots of cash and couldn't remember what was happening to it. A brooch that my aunt was supposed to get disappeared. And then I started hearing reports of my grandfather being inappropriate with some of the home health aides. He was busted squirreling away his medication that he was supposed to be taking in his chair, giving money to an aide, and sexually harassing another aide. I've been taking care of elderly with dementia for 13 years. They lose the frontal lobe where the filter is. Little 90-year-old ladies who never swore a day in their life is like a freaking sailor, lol. Men usually get frisky with the females. It's what happens with this disease. We didn't have a nanny cam, but my mom set up a camcorder when she suspected our babysitter was stealing, and then caught the babysitter stealing. She returned most of the stuff when my mom threatened to report her to the police. I think she should still have reported her anyway. Now she probably just went on stealing at other people's places. This isn't something I caught a babysitter doing, but I remember that once I saw on TV the case of some parents that went with their baby to the doctor because she cried a lot for apparently no reason. The doctor told them that she looked really stressed, and asked them if they were doing something that could make her act this way. They didn't. Then the doctors and the parents noticed some really tiny dots in the girl's belly, and they had no idea where they came from. The babysitter told them that she had no idea, but they didn't believe her, and secretly put cameras to spy on what she was doing. Turns out that she was crazy. She was stabbing the baby with a needle from time to time, and doing things like shaking her cradle incredibly hard to torment her. Of course, they called the police, confronted her, and she got arrested. The family I nanny for told me that their previous nanny got caught doing loads of awful things. A couple that outraged me were 1. Leaving their 3-year-old daughter in the tub with water up to her chest for 2 hours every day while she sat in another room unable to see the child. And 2. Once she went to run an errand with the same kid, and the doorbell camera caught her putting the kid in the car seat, not buckling her in, and peeling off. The mom said you could see the toddler trying to buckle herself in before they took off. Edit. 1. The camera was not in the bathroom. It was where they were able to see where the nanny was. Room near bathroom. And their kid if the door was left open, which it always was while she was bathing. 2. They thought she was a perfectly good nanny until their kid was saying weird things that were going on, and that they decided to watch the footage. They fired her after seeing what she was doing, and that's where I, Super Nanny, came in. The cameras weren't actually for the nanny, they were for the kid's therapist because she was prone to violent behavior and they were trying to fix it. When I was around 12 years old, my parents caught my babysitter on camera stealing my NES games and shoving them into her pants and shirt. They confronted her about it and she kept denying it until Ninja Gaiden fell out of her pant leg. My mom took her into the room and made her take out all the games she stole. She literally had games shoved under the strap of her bra and on her back so that she could sneak them out of the house, and others were put inside the waistband of her underwear. She must have really thought about this for a while. Anyway, we got the games back and she was sent home without pay. Thank you for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. It'll be greatly appreciated. And if you want to visit the original thread, I'll link it in the description. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.